Thank you. I'm Mr. Lehner and welcome back to a nice, fresh, clean cut edition of Mr. Lehner's Math Extravaganza. In today's webisode, we're going to take a look at modeling multiplication situations. And in terms, we're going to be looking at with fractions. We're also going to be looking at mixed numbers and how to multiply these together. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get into this problem. Ooh, you like how I did that there? Time. All right. Let's take a look at this problem up here. It says Crystal is making ties for Mr. Lehner. Each tie uses 2 1/3 yards of ribbon. If she buys a package of ribbon that is 22 yards, how many ties can she make for Mr. Lehner? Well, we already know she's getting a straight A in math for this by making me these ties. But let's take a look at what we know here. We know that each tie takes 2 1/3 yards of ribbon. We know that Crystal has a package that has 22 yards of ribbon in it. How many ties can she make for Mr. Lehner? So assuming she makes no mistakes, I want to find out how many ties she can make from that 22 yards of ribbon. Now here's where this estimation could come in. Let's say I'm going to estimate 10 ties. Let's just figure this out. I know that 10 times 2 would be 20 yards, and 10 times 1/3 might take me a little bit higher. It means I might not have enough for 10 full ties. So I'm going to try something close. Let's try 9, see if that works. If I have 9 ties, okay, I'm going to use our distributive property here. I'm going to take 9 times the 2 yards, which is going to equal 18 yards. That was my whole number, 9 times 2. I also have to distribute the 9 to the 1/3. So 9 times 1/3 is going to equal 3 yards. If I add 18 yards and 3 yards together, that's a total of 21 yards. So Crystal can make 9 ties for Mr. Lehner using 21 of the 22 yards that she has. Again, remember when multiplying your fractions, it would be 9/1 times 1/3, which would equal 9/3. 9/3 is an improper fraction. How many times does 3 go into 9? 3 times. That's where we get our whole number of the 3 yards. I'm adding them together because each tie takes 2 1/3 yards. So that's why I had to multiply the 9 to the 2 and the 9 to the 1/3, which gave me my number to figure out that I could make 9 ties, or that Crystal could make 9 ties for me. If you're a visual learner, this may kind of break it up a little bit easier for yourself. Again, like I just mentioned, 9 is the same thing as 9/1. So 9/1 times 1/3 gives me 9/3, which is 3. Or think of it like this. This is 9/3. Well, here's 1/3. This is 1/3, this is 1/3, this is 1/3. Well, if I have 9/3 like I do here, how many thirds is it right there? 3/3, right? So this would be a whole. I can use these 3/3 to help make up a whole. I can use these 3/3 to make a whole, and these 3/3 to make a whole. So even though I have 9/3 here, I have 1, 2, 3 wholes. And that's a way where you guys can kind of look at a picture or a diagram to help you out with this. If it's a little bit easier to look at like a pie chart up here, breaking this up into sections. Each one of these is a third. So 1, 2, 3, there's 3/3 would make a whole. So again, if I had 9 pieces like this, I could make 3 whole pies or 3 whole pizzas. So if you're that visual learner there, go ahead, draw yourself a picture to kind of visualize what would that look like. We did the same thing. We're still multiplying 9 times 1/3 here, but now I've just shown it in a couple of different ways. Again, use what's most comfortable for you. All right, it's that time again. Your turn. Miss Law buys a 4.5-pound block of cheese. She must really love cheese a lot. If she eats 1/3 of the cheese, how much cheese has she eaten and how much cheese is left? Kind of makes me feel hungry again. So go ahead and make sure you got that paper ready, get that pencil ready to go, and go ahead and pause this video and we'll see what you come up with for this problem. Okay, I'm going to break this down. What do I know? I know that Miss Law has 4.5 pounds of cheese up here. I know that she eats 1/3 of the cheese. What am I trying to find out? I'm trying to find out how much cheese she's eaten and how much cheese is left. Alright, there's my important facts. So let's take a look at a strategy here. I know that if she's eaten 1/3 of the cheese, I'm going to distribute my 1/3 to the 4 and my 1/3 to the half because it's 1/3 of 4.5. And again, it's not every time we see of, but of is a key word for what? That's right, multiplication. So it's 1/3 of 4.5, so I'm going to use multiplication. 1/3 times 4 is going to equal 1 1/3 pounds of cheese. Again, I kept my unit on here. 1/3 times 1/2 is going to equal 1/6 pounds of cheese. Again, if you're a visual learner, think of like a fraction strip that we just had. And we'll kind of do it real quick. If I have 1/3 and I'm looking for half of it, imagine if I cut these in half. So again, using that visual picture can definitely help you guys solve the problem. So 1/3 times 1/2 is going to equal 1/6 pounds of cheese. Now, when looking at this, I can make common denominators. It's kind of easier here because I have 3 and 6. So what's another name for 1/3 using 6 as my denominator? This is the same thing as 2/6. So I could add 2/6 to 1/6 here to make it 3/6. My whole number 1 comes here. So I know that Miss Law has eaten 1 3/6 pounds of cheese. Another name for 1 3/6 is 1.5. Well, if she's eaten 1.5 pounds of cheese, this must mean that there's 3 pounds of cheese left, because I'm going to subtract the 1.5 from the 4.5 because we've already eaten 1.5 pounds of cheese in our problem. Thank you for tuning into that clean cut edition of Mr. Leiner's Math Extravaganza. As always, we'll see you next time.